Welcome to the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Bangura, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me today. This podcast is for ambitious women who work in property and construction, who want to learn how to have a career they love on their terms. Join me every week where I'll leave you excited and confident to take your next steps. Thanks for being here with me. Now let's get started. Hello, today we are talking about the confidence myth and perhaps more importantly, why waiting for confidence is actually holding you back. Now, as we record this, it is a gorgeous sunny day in Sydney, but I am suffering a cold. So bear with me if I'm a bit muffled or sound a bit weird this week, but I didn't want to delay this episode. This is one of the most important conversations. If you've ever thought, if only I had more confidence, I'd take that next step, then this is for you. Not a day goes by where I do not have a conversation with a woman about confidence. It's in fact one of the top reasons women seek me out to improve their confidence. I want to give you the cheat sheet. I want to bust this myth so you can go out and start being more confident today. Confidence isn't something you wait for. It's something you build. It is not a fixed trait. It is something that we grow, develop, and evolve over time. It is not something we can bottle up and store and pull off the shelf when we need it. It is something that is highly circumstantial. We can go from feeling incredibly confident one moment to having no confidence the next because the circumstances have changed. The confidence myth is built on the belief that confidence is a prerequisite for taking action. But when we wait for confidence, we miss opportunities to grow, lead, and learn. Confidence is actually developed by taking action. And, even when we look at the word confidence, it's Latin, confide, it means to trust. And when we can look at confidence as our own ability to trust and know we can figure things out, having that growth mindset, that is when we can really step into our power. That is when we can really achieve incredible things. We need to accept that growth, learning, building confidence has stages. So the first is intention, knowing what you're working toward and why it's important. Picking up on last week's topic, we want to stop living by default, craft goals and intentions that align with the career and life that you want. The next part is commitment. Resolute commitment only happens when your desire is stronger than your fear. Because it is so easy to get stuck in all the reasons why you shouldn't do something. It's easy to find excuses and to try and keep ourselves safe rather than stepping up and going all in on what it is we want. Which leads us to our next point, which is courage. You have to be willing to do whatever it takes. You have to be willing to have the failures on the way and know that's part of the journey. But still show up with commitment and courage. Keep going. When we do that enough, we build capability. Practice things, show up, do them. Even if we don't do them right to start, over time, consistency, we will improve and develop the skills we need. Once we have that capability, we feel confidence, right? That's when we have that certainty in our abilities. But we can't just jump to confidence. We have to go through this process. We have to accept that it will be messy, uncomfortable. We will screw up. We will not be perfect. Sometimes we will be really not perfect. But if we're not willing to take a chance, if we're not going to play in the arena, then we are never going to win. We are never going to create the outcomes we want in our lives. We cannot be perfect in our abilities straight off the bat. We need to practice. And that in that process of practicing and taking repeated action, we actually create new neural pathways. We reinforce that confidence over time. And so these 5 steps, intention, commitment, courage, capability, and confidence, it is a practice that we build. And it's so important that we do, because the sad truth is when we hold on to this confidence myth that we need to be confident in order to take action, we hold ourselves back. This shows up in many different ways. Miss out on promotions, avoid high-profile projects, or downplay our achievements because we feel like we should have it all together already before we even have a seat at the table. The longer we hold on to that belief, the more opportunities pass us by. We see this show up time and time again in studies, such as the recruitment study where women would only apply for jobs when they met every criteria, whereas men would apply when they met 60%. One of the biggest breakthroughs for me was sitting in meetings with people much more senior than me and having the realization that they were not that much smarter than me. I know that sounds funny, but I'd always held leaders on this pedestal. And I'd always thought that they must be so remarkable in every aspect of their life and that their thinking and ability to understand complex environments was on another level. And the more exposure I had to senior people, whilst incredibly capable and incredibly competent, I realized that the gap was not that different. Another way this has shown up for me is seeing people get promoted ahead of me. When I missed out on a promotion and my colleague was promoted ahead of me, I had more skills and experience than he did for this role. And I realized that what I had been doing was I'd been playing small, hoping people would recognize my achievements. I had downplayed things. I kept talking about how I was part of the team and attributing the success to other people instead of owning it. The result was people perceived him as more capable than me, even though that wasn't the case. But I didn't show up with the confidence. I didn't put myself forward. I didn't keep taking courageous action, really trusting my own abilities. And so neither did anyone else. And I ended up missing out on that role that I think I would have been great at. I remember thinking, I've got to own this. I've got to stop waiting for that moment when I suddenly feel ready. I've got to stop waiting for someone else to tell me I'm ready. I need to drive my career. And even though I may not be where I want to be yet, I need to embrace the journey. Over time, as I've worked with more and more senior leaders, I've realized that this is true. No one just arrives. Everyone is a work in progress. Even when we nail one situation, life changes, work changes, the economy changes, and we're constantly having to reinvent and respond to different situations. The only way we can do that is to keep showing up, be committed to the cause, and learn along the way. And in the process, we become the person we want to be. We build trust in ourselves. I want to give you a couple of easy ways to apply this today to build your confidence through action. First, keep taking small, courageous actions. Challenge yourself to share an idea. Tell your boss you want a promotion or reach out to someone on LinkedIn. It doesn't really matter what the action is. It's about getting out there and realizing that this one thing won't hurt you, but it will strengthen you. I loved Mel Robbins' 5-second rule, where you count to 5 and then take action. Don't allow your brain to overthink things. Just get on with it because our brains are always going to try and keep us safe or use the least amount of energy. That's what they're programmed to do. And so these little courageous actions require us to override natural thinking. The more we do it, the more results we'll see. And our brain will create more dopamine. There's a saying I love, what scares you today won't scare you tomorrow. From my experience, that's true. There was a time where the idea of jumping on a podcast absolutely terrified me. Now we're at 100 and something podcasts. And that started with just doing one. And I've done some great podcasts and I've done some duds, but that's part of the process. Step number 2 is reframing our failures as feedback. Failure isn't final unless you stop trying. We learn more from our failures than we do our successes. When something goes catastrophically wrong, those are the lessons that stick with us. And if we can get into the habit of constantly seeking out data in every situation, just getting curious, what worked, what didn't, what would I do differently, we can grow at an exponential rate. And in doing so, our capability increases and our confidence rises. Now, my third tip for you is to build self-trust through preparation. Make the time to do the work. Be committed to what you're trying to achieve and prepare accordingly. The fourth is to celebrate your progress. And that's progress, not perfection. Making a note every day of something you achieved, particularly if it's something that pushed you out of your comfort zone. Taking a moment to really acknowledge our journey and how we show up for ourselves, build trust, and build our skills and our ability to be the person we want to be. Something I always say to my clients is you need to decide who you want to be. And then you need to show up as her. You need to stop making excuses for why you can't and start validating why you can. Start building evidence for why you can. And I want to leave you with this quote from Stephen Covey. I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. If we can each day make decisions and take actions that align with what we want, that is how we will build confidence. That is how we will build self-belief, self-trust we need, the confidence that we are all so desperately seeking. It's through decisions and actions. So let's stop waiting for permission and create our own confidence. Because I know you are capable of incredible things. Okay, my voice is fading. I'm going to leave you for this week, but I would love to hear any insights from this week's podcast. Come on over to LinkedIn and say hello. Let me know how your confidence is going and what actions you're taking to be the confident leader of your career and life. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for joining me on the Building Up Women in Property podcast. I'm Rebecca Bangura, and if you'd like to learn more about what I do, head over to LinkedIn and connect with me. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.